If you're like most people, you probably have the wrong kind of smoke detector in your house.
A News Channel 5 investigation exposed how these detectors have trouble detecting smoke. So why are they still being sold? And why aren't consumers being warned? Our consumer investigator, Jennifer Kraus, found there's plenty of blame to go around.
You expect your smoke detector to warn you in a fire.
It should have gone off. It didn't.
But our investigation found for an alarming number of people.
At what point did you use your smoke detector? Never. They never went off.
Their detector fails to go off when they need it most.
It was the wrong kind of smoke detector.
Studies show ionization detectors have trouble detecting smoke and may not sound in time, if at all.
If they know that these things don't work, how can they put them on the shelf and sell them every day?
But we found smoke detector manufacturers have received literally hundreds of customer complaints about ionization detectors dating back nearly 20 years.
Nobody is protecting consumers today when it comes to smoke detectors.
Joan Claybrook heads up the consumer watchdog group Public Citizen.
People are dying all the time because these smoke detectors are inadequate.
And she's outraged that manufacturers refuse to publicly acknowledge the problem with ionization detectors, and more importantly, do anything about it.
Because they like to keep on manufacturing today what they manufactured yesterday and not make any change or spend any money to change it.
Who wants to admit that they made a mistake that was responsible for hundreds, possibly even thousands of deaths? This has been documented by everyone who's ever looked at the problem.
In fact, we found the Consumer Product Safety Commission expressed serious concerns about these detectors as early as 1995. Yet the CPSC still has not done anything to get them off the market, or at the very least, warn consumers.
It's a tragedy and it's a disgrace.
I call it killing people.
Claybrook says the problem is the CPSC has very little power. It can't issue mandatory safety standards or even warn people about defective products.
The agency ought to be able to tell the public when there's a danger.
A bill before Congress recently would have ordered the CPSC to warn people about ionization detectors.
They should be taking action.
Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn thought it was a good idea, but she says smoke detector manufacturers were against it. So lawmakers softened their stance and instead simply asked the CPSC and manufacturers to study the idea of setting new safety standards.
What we're asking them to do is to work together to arrive at those standards.
Well, the issue's been studied and studied and studied and studied. We don't need any more studies.
These studies, consumer advocates say, will take years, and in the meantime, more Americans will die needlessly.
So while nothing is being done on the federal level, at least here in Tennessee, State Representative Mike Turner has introduced legislation that would eventually ban ionization detectors. Turner got interested after taking part in our test and seeing the problems with these detectors for himself. Jennifer Kraus, News Channel 5 investigates.
Thanks, Jennifer. And if you'd like to find out if you have an ionization detector, go to newschannel5.com/investigates.